Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Brink of Speed. Today we are going to talk about when you order your new 2021 C8 Corvette, the must-have options, and what your overall price will be for those must-have options. Good afternoon and welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm super excited to talk to you about you going to the dealership and ordering yourself a brand new 2021 C8 Corvette. Now, there's a lot of people out there that don't really know exactly what options to build on their new Corvette. And today I want to specifically tell you what I think most people would be good with when ordering their brand new C8 Corvettes. There's options that you don't need that a lot of people think they do need, and I'm specifically going to go over exactly which ones I think you need and which ones I think you don't need. So let's get started. By the way, I hope you liked that amazing cinematic drone footage in the very beginning. But the first thing that I want to state about you buying a 2021 C8 Corvette is that I would highly recommend spending $7,300 on one major option, and that is the 2LT package. If you have the money to go up to around 70 grand on this car, you're gonna like what you get with my perfectly put together 2021 optioned out C8. So the very first thing, and I will show you right now on the screen, the difference between the 2LT and the 1LT, so that you can see there is a large difference between the two LT packages. Now, the first thing that I love about the 2LT package is that you get these beautiful front end cameras. And what these front end cameras are going to help you out with is to make certain that when you're parking your car and you're putting that front end close to a curb, that you will never ever ding up your front splitter. Or worse than that, if you don't have a front splitter because you might not have the Z51 package, you would ding this up instead. So the 2LT will give you those front end cameras to help you stop that. Another amazing thing that the 2LT package gives you is the head-up display. And we're gonna go inside the car right now so that you can see how beautiful this head-up display is. And as you can see here, it gives you a lot of different things that you can see without having to look down at your normal 12-inch screen dash. And you can keep your eyes on the road instead of having to look down, and that is very important. Now here's my third thing that's special about the 2LT package, and that is that you get the blind spot protection on your rear side mirrors on both sides. Now, why is that important? because of the fact that if you are next to any vehicle, these two things right here are going to light up, and they're going to light up yellow to indicate that you are next to a vehicle, even though you may not be able to see that vehicle because it's in your blind spot. Now that, again, like I said, is extremely important. Also, I get this question a lot about my seats. Now, as you guys can see, these seats are GT1 seats. And I'll go over these real quick so you can see exactly what they look like. That is the GT1 seat. Now, here's the question that I get all the time. Is that seat able to be ventilated and heated if you don't have a GT2 seat? The answer to that is yes, if you have the 2LT package. The other question that I get is, will there be lumbar support on the GT1 seat, period? Well, there is not lumbar support if you buy a LT1 package. But if you get the 2LT package, here is your lumbar support, front or forward, backwards. So that's one thing that you get with the 2LT that I think is a must-have for sure. Okay, let's move on to my next must-have, and that is going to be these beautiful painted red calipers. Now, as you guys can see, these calipers are absolutely gorgeous. If I would not have had those painted, they would be black, and you would not really be able to see them clearly. But because of the fact that they are painted, you can easily see them. They have that gorgeous Corvette logo on them, and it really makes the car stand out even better than it already does. So as you saw in the very beginning when I started talking about that package, there was a number of things that are different from the 1LT to the 2LT, so you can go back to that and see what the differences are. Anyway, this is a $595 option that I highly recommend just for the aesthetics and looks purposes. The next option that I'm going to show you, you'll be seeing it on the screen right now, and it's going to have to do with the front end lift. So right there, that front end is already off the ground quite a ways. However, as you know, there are a lot of places in the world today that will absolutely scrape up either the bottom of your lip right there, or even worse, you know, get up higher and damage things up higher. What GM has done is they've put a fully global technology GPS system along with a air front end lift system on this C8 Corvette. And as you see right here that it's working perfectly, when I get about 100 yards from my house, my front end lifts automatically. And I don't even have to think about it. It just automatically lifts up, and I get 2 inches more of clearance, and I have never ever scraped the front end of this car because of that 2-inch lift. So that is another must-have. Now that 2-inch lift used to be $14.95. I know there is a little bit of a price change on that for 2021 because it would ultimately change the overall price of your 2021. Now, some are going to agree with this, some are going to disagree, but my next must-have option for your new C8 is going to be the MPP exhaust. You definitely want the loudest possible exhaust you can get on this car because there's a lot of people that aren't super happy with how loud it is in the cockpit of this car. Now, obviously on the outside, it's tremendous. It's beautiful, but you definitely want to hear your Corvette when you're driving it around. And without this MPP loud exhaust, you lose a little bit of horsepower, but you lose a lot of sound. So let me show you what you would be missing out on. This is what it would sound like if you did not get the MPP tuned exhaust. So it sounds pretty decent, but it is muffled big time. You don't hear the big time roar of that enormous 6.2 liter V8. And obviously we all want to hear that. So let me show you the difference. Okay, here's what your car will sound like if you pay an extra $1195, basically $1,200 to get the MPP exhaust. Now, I think you're going to be able to tell a large difference. I know I can, especially in person. Hopefully this camera picks it up and you're able to tell a pretty large difference. But that is a complete separation of sound difference. The decibels are enormously different on the stock exhaust or the MPP exhaust. Now, the reason why I say you should spend $1,200 on that exhaust is because of the fact that if you go to any exhaust company, say you have the idea, well, I'll save the $1,200 and I'll get you know, custom exhaust put on it after I buy the car if I want it. Well, let me tell you one thing. You're going to want the exhaust, but you're also going to spend probably double what you would spend through Chevrolet to just get the louder exhaust. There's not a company out there that's really going to do something that's worthwhile for less than a couple $1,000s. So you might as well spend $1,200 now and get that exhaust, which is on the Z51 package automatically, but not on the non-Z51 package. Okay, as you can see, we are back here in the engine bay, and if you take a look at this engine, even with the rear hatch open, it doesn't really distinguish itself. I mean, yes, you do have the edge red on the sides of the engine, but that basically dark gray kind of silver cover doesn't really do anything to separate the engine from the rest of what's under here. So my recommendation to you all is to go ahead and spend the $495 that it costs to paint that. And I wouldn't paint it any other color but red, because red is what's really going to separate you from most people with this car. Even with this hatch down, when you look through, it's impossible to see the engine clearly, but with it painted red, it's easily seen. Okay, now I want to address something that I'm certain most of you are asking right now to yourselves, and you're wanting to ask me. And if you wonder this, put this down in the comments section below. But I'm sure that everyone is asking, well, you didn't say anything about Z51. Yours is a Z51. Should we get Z51? Should we get magnetic ride? So I'm going to answer those one by one. Number one, I would never get Z51 if you're the average everyday Corvette type owner. The only reason to spend another $5,000 to $6,000, because I think it actually got raised to $6,000 for 2021, just another really good reason not to pay for that Z51 package. The only reason to get Z51 is if you know for a fact you're going to take your C8 to the track. That's really it. If you're never going to track your C8, then you're wasting $6,000 on Z51. Especially now because of the new magnetic ride option. Back in 2020, you could only get magnetic ride if you ordered a Z51 package. Now you don't need Z51 to get magnetic ride. So I would again highly recommend not getting Z51, and for magnetic ride, I would not get that either, because I've been told by quite a few people that without Z51, the standard suspension on the Stingray feels just as smooth, if not smoother, than a Z51 with magnetic ride. But my car is already blowing my mind how smooth it is, and it has Z51 and magnetic ride. So that's my next choice, is not to get magnetic ride. I do not think that that is worth it. Also, I would not get upgraded wheels unless you're going to get Trident wheels. I would not pay the extra $1,000 or so just to get those painted black. If you're gonna pay extra for wheels, I would highly recommend, if you like the Trident wheels, to get those instead, because you're gonna get two sets of wheels. You're gonna get these wheels and the Trident wheels, and that way you will have wheels that are really nice, you know, that you think are great, and wheels that maybe you could use for other reasons on your car. But I would not recommend really spending money on the wheels. So the last thing that I want to talk about is kind of just up in the air. It's a question. This is not my opinion. This is, do you think the last and final option that I would maybe say to go with is important to you, or is it something that you could care less about? And what that is the museum delivery. Now, some people think it's an absolute must. It's $1,000, and they say, you know, it's well worth that $1,000. I personally agree with that. As you know, I did that with Clarence this spring to go get his car, and I thought it was awesome. But are most people going to need that or want that? Probably not, because it's not just $1,000. You have to get yourself there. Most likely you're going to have to pay for your stay while you're there. You're going to have to pay for most of your food. So it may not be worth it to you, but that's $1,000. If you want that, the total cost of the car without that is just over $70,000, which in my opinion is excellent. You're going to be right around $71,000 with the car that I built that has all the things that I think most people are going to want in their C8 Corvettes. If you add that $995, you could pay for it out of your pocket, whatever, you're going to be around $72,000. So that's really going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure and give me a big thumbs up. Also, if you have not subscribed to the wonderful Brink of Speed community, please consider subscribing by hitting that red subscribe button and bell notification so that you're notified when my new content comes out. Now, also, I hope that you'll follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Those are all up right here. You can see that they're all at Brink of Speed, so they're very easy to follow. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you out on the road.